Well, welcome to the weekly Helm Dev meeting, January 26, 2023. We're living in the future. Here is the link to the notes for everybody. I'll be moderating this meeting, and Karen is taking notes. Also, other people feel free to, and please, help out with notes too if you see something and you want to add it. Just a reminder that these meetings are all recorded, so say only things you would want to live on forever on the internet. Okay, so it looks like the first discussion item is from Sakira. Are you able to unmute, Sakira?
Yes. Hi.
Hi. Did I pronounce your name right?
Yeah, it's Zakaria actually, but
That's fine.
Actually, I have not much to say about it, but I'm just wondering because it's PR. Actually, I got an opinion of this other guy. I forgot the name, but he was Matt Butcher. I think he's not here today. Yeah, I think he was okay. He was keen to merge it, but it was just lingering. I think for now about 4 or 5 months. I know that's big open source project like Helm get time to merge PRs, but I just wanted to remind you that that's all my point. No pressure.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not sure why this one isn't in a milestone.
I can ping Butcher to look at it, or do we also need Farina to look at it if it is going to be added?
I don't think so. Butcher already did look at it, and I'll take a look too.
Okay.
And then since it's a small size, that will be efficient. And Andy already did pull request triage work on it. Or sorry, Andy. Andy S. Excuse me. Did pull request research on it. Reproduced the issue, was able to reproduce the fix. So yeah, I'll go ahead and add it to a milestone and I'll give it a review. Thanks for bringing that back to our attention. This is great.
Yeah.
There's a CI failure?
Yes, I took a look, but it's not really related to the changes, something like related to deploying. So
yeah, let me go ahead and rerun that CI. I'll do that, and you can just make that an action item for me. Okay. Then I think the next chat is the maintainer track proposal that Karen, you mentioned in Keybase, and Andy added this. Do you want to speak to this at all, Andy?
Yeah, I decided to kind of take a swing at the abstract. Obviously, feel free to take a look, if you want to comment. I wanted to use it as kind of an evolution of the last few talks that we've been giving at KubeCon. We talked about the ecosystem and how broad it is and used previously and how others have integrated it. But I wanted to take more of a developer perspective in saying, if you want to actually start using Helm in your projects, let's go ahead and let's show you how you can do so. But also, if you are very interested in just developing Helm, here's how you can go ahead and start becoming more of a maintainer on the Helm project. So this allows us to kind of use it as a bridge from a developer's perspective, how I can go ahead and get into the Helm ecosystem, but also to bring in new contributors into the project itself. That was my thought. Definitely up for comments and feedback.
Does anyone else have thoughts about that one?
I just have a thought on logistics, not on the abstract itself. So it looks like what Andy shared is like just the abstract, like the text and all that. So I guess I also made a HackMD, which includes all the fields of like all the speaker details. So I think once we get this figured out, I guess the next step would just be like making sure that we know who wants to go. I know kind of budgets for travel are up in the air right now, so I'm not even sure how we might want to solidify our speaker list. But yeah, just to know that like beyond the abstract, we do also have to fill out all the speaker info. Yeah, but that's not super important for now.
No, it's good though, because of it's due tomorrow, right? So we need to actually every required field is important.
Yeah.
Okay. I will work on that today too as an action item for me. And Andy, I personally love this idea generally. It's something similar to what I proposed the last several times, not the very last maintainers track talk, but the last several was to look at the SDK to guide folks through it.
Yep.
And people understand how you can use it in your projects and so on. And I think so far the one question, not super different from what from that New York City meetup that Karen and you and I were at, something like that. One issue in the past, when I brought this up, I remember Farina's not on the call now, but he suggested, hey, he doesn't really believe KubeCon's a place for that kind of thing anymore. Like, the Helm users primarily, very few of them would really be in that talk to actually learn how to use the SDK itself. So I'm not saying that can't be revisited, but I just want to mention
we shouldn't go into too much detail at the talk, but we should at least provide primitives for them to get started, and then we can look at different avenues and venues to be able to go into deeper, and whether it be a meetup, whether it be a webinar, you name it.
I like that too. And I don't know what you thought, Karen. I mean, I know it was just a test when we did that guide in Greenpoint to help people get, just lead them through the code base, at least in general, so that they can understand how, even what they're looking at when they're trying to review PRs and what the process of PR triage is like. How did you feel about that if you imagined it being in a space? Right?
I guess I'm not sure if it like makes sense for like the setting of like a large conference room giving a talk, because the other thing that CNCF is offering is basically, I don't know if the deadline passed for it, but it's like a 1 hour kind of like little project hackathon thing where it's just like you get together for an hour, you can do bug bash, you can do reviews, whatever, and that seemed a bit more interactive. So like I don't know if that's what we want to do, then maybe the 1 hour kind of hands-on thing would be a better avenue for that. Because I don't know, like, I guess I don't know how like handholdy it can be if it's a session where, like a regular conference room. Yeah.
I mean, it would definitely lower the, right now, I think we just might want to weigh what the biggest value is. I mean, right now, when we have our maintainers track talks, they're some of the largest attended talks out of all the CNCF projects. I think people just either they want to know about Helm, they're Helm users, and I think that a big message from some of the last several was, hey, we need more people to help review PRs. I think the presentation of that would, there would definitely be a smaller group of the huge group of people that might want to attend that would actually want to do that. I wonder if, I guess we need to decide today and tomorrow, right? Should we try to get feedback from others on Keybase? And
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
okay, cool. Okay.
I think any effort that gets more reviewers and more maintainers is valuable right now.
That's what I was going at, Joe. You are doing a yeoman's job keeping track of all of this. So I want to get you some friends to help you out. So that is the second part of this presentation, is not only showing people, but also making it easier for the on-ramp to contribute to the project.
Yeah. So basically, well, we can talk about it. We just need the abstract for tomorrow and the benefits to the ecosystem and things like that. But Andy, you're really thinking about something like kind of a larger presentation of what we did in Brooklyn.
High level, yes, but the goal is really twofold. Just get people to say, hey, here's kind of the ingredients for how you start to integrate Helm into your project. Not a deep dive, because that's not the right venue, but also making it easier to get more contributors onto the project and the different roles. We're going to just go back into the different roles that they can play within the project. Everything from just joining these calls to actually committing to the code, reviewing pull requests, and then eventually becoming a maintainer.
Yeah. Cool, thanks. Okay, next. Was there anything else for that anyone wanted to say? Cool. Then next is Ian's agenda item.
Great, thanks. So yeah, I just wanted to introduce this concept. So replicated COTS has this idea of, when you type in your values and it'll go check your cluster, make sure it has various, it meets your Kubernetes version ID, your database is reachable and so forth. And I kind of put together a quick plugin to kind of show what I'd want to kind of see in Helm. So I can run this I made this command, this Helm safe install plugin, right? And it runs, and it's going to run against my database, and it's going, I just added a couple checks for the demo. And it says, hey, your MySQL server is ready, but your Kubernetes versions, doesn't match the required version that, that's going to work with this Helm chart. And so it just says yes or no. Obviously this could be a lot more sophisticated. But the idea, I'd really like to see it somehow be able to be built into Helm. Rather than, like this kind of external plugin system. So that something like Argo or Flux could have this integrated, and when you go to do an upgrade, right, you can gain confidence that you didn't flub configuration, or like if there was like a schema change that came upstream or something like that, you could actually check to see that stuff's done. So I kind of had an idea of like what, like maybe, this could be something like, you could do like a hook pre-flight that's like a blocking, and it kind of sends your IO back, kind of like that did. Obviously I can put a HIP in for this, but I just kind of wanted to run it by the maintainers before I put the effort into that and say, like, is this something people would be interested in pursuing? And, so wanted to throw it out there for discussion.
Personally, I think it's a pretty cool idea. That was what you pretty much hit the nail on the head with. Some of the other tools that have since Helm has been around have added commands like this. Like, for example, well, I just happen to know that Flux has a Flux check command that does something really similar. It's not really hook based, but that makes sense that Helm would be. So
okay, yeah, and I guess the other thing is I was trying to get right, like what, like, is calling it a pre-flight, does that kind of resonate with this group, or would you prefer it to be like blocking pre-install, right? Because technically they look a lot like the same things. I think pre-flight is maybe a better term, but a blocking pre-install would actually be a more generic concept and maybe not quite as limiting as a word like pre-flight, although they're not that far off, honestly.
Yeah,
well, so I think that was what I was going to ask next, is that there is a pre-install hook. but it happens after templates are rendered. It sounds like that's what you want too, though, because you want to be able to annotate.
Right. I guess the key thing is though, I want it to fail fast, right? Like I don't want to, I don't want to like wait around and then it just kind of explodes with an unknown error message and then you have to go debug that because it's really just as difficult. Like I want this particular job to be important, and when it fails, I want to immediately fail the install of the Helm chart and say, or present the user with an option to continue anyway, but I want to present that anyway and be like, hey, this failed. Do you want to continue? Yes or no?
Joe?
Pre-install and pre-upgrade hooks already end it immediately if they fail, right? So
No,
I think
they
the biggest
don't.
difference is just they don't.
No, unfortunately not. That was actually the first thing I tried, and I was expecting them to do that, but they do not fail immediately. They just time out.
Maybe that would be more the low tech solution than to just add another like option, like fail fast or something. Similar
I think we also
we
want
have the wait and the deletion policy, right? That would be also then something that you could do for the post hooks or whatever else hooks we have. Then it's more flexible and probably easier.
So like a new annotation type that would be like Helm hook fail fast or something.
Yeah.
Or perhaps, Philip, are you thinking about more like a flag on the CLI command?
No, I actually like this. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, gotcha.
Probably you have to make it a string, right? Because it would only you have to quote it because
Oh yes.
it has to be strings, right?
Yes.
Because
true.
of Kubernetes, right?
Yes.
But yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that could totally work. This could be, pre-install fail fast. And then some sort of, there'd have to be some sort of logic in here that would have to, look for if it's a fail fast and then immediately present that back to the user with like the output of the job or something.
I was also thinking that that alone could be its own useful flag to display the output of it.
Yeah,
it could be for any hook that might be valuable.
Yeah. And also, wouldn't this be something that you would want, however, to pass through the Helm client or the Helm SDK as opposed to being required by the chart? So for example, this seems to be almost like the opposite of wait. And wait's not something that you define in a chart. It's something you define when you're installing it.
I guess I'm not sure. So I would definitely want it to be Helm to understand it at a fundamental layer, right? Like an SDK layer. So somebody like Flux could rely on it, but I guess I'm not sure if I'm following 100%.
Well, I just mean that it seems like desiring to fail fast is something that an actual Helm human operator would want to choose, not necessarily the author of a chart, right? Or maybe I'm missing.
I think the author of the chart certainly is going to have an opinion, right? Like anyone that has a current job obviously doesn't want fail fast behavior. And I could very easily imagine a situation where I want maybe one job to fail fast and another not, right? Like pre-flights, you always want to fail fast. You never want to like wait for a pre-flight. You want to know, did it work or didn't it? And then choose your course of action. So as a Helm chart writer, you definitely want to be able to specify that. As a user, maybe you'd want to be able to control that. Like maybe you'd want this to be templatized to where you could control it. I guess that's kind of up to whoever made the Helm chart if they want to provide that kind of flexibility to their users. Okay, cool.
Is there a hip started for this?
I'll get one. I'll get one started. I have not started one. I just kind of want to run it by the crew first and just see like, am I on the right track here? But now that this has actually been great feedback. This will make my hip much more productive. So
one thing maybe to add, for the backwards compatibility, the fail fast option is, I guess, the better one. Like having, instead of introducing a new hook type, right? Because then older Helm clients will just ignore the fail fast. So it kind of gracefully degrades to a less optimal experience, but it still works. But a hook type that's not supported, I don't know what Helm will even do in that case. If it will fail, or if it will ignore this and treat it as a normal resources, I have no idea. Maybe if one of you knows, but
Yeah,
so that-
I mean, I suspect it would just treat it as a pre-install at that point. So you would just have the long timeout behavior instead
yeah,
of
I mean, if we introduce a new hook type, like pre-install blocking, I don't know what would happen in that case.
Yeah,
that
I'm not
would-
sure.
Yeah.
I think this is a better idea, really, having separate controls overall. So that's what I'm going to pursue with my hip.
And honestly, I think if pre-install, I think if pre-install hook fails, it should be failing right away anyway. So that may just be a bug.
Well, I mean, you can do anything on a pre-install hook, though, right? So, like, what would it mean for?
If I had a pre-install job that exited with a non-zero exit, it should fail the chart install, and it should do it as soon as that hook runs.
So what should it do for other resources then? I guess that's where it seems like you need special logic for a job at least.
Well, I mean, that would be if the job's just timing out, perhaps it's retrying for too long. You can
Yeah.
change that in the job definition.
Okay, well, anyway, I'll raise
Yeah.
a hip on this and we can kind of flush it out there, but I think it'll need some sort of special logic, but you know, if it's like, hey, we can just change the behavior of all pre-install hooks to operate in this way, then I guess that could be acceptable as well, so.
Yeah, I also can't think of a case where you would want to wait and then get the failure.
Yeah,
Well-
it'd be interesting to like grep all pre-install hooks and see if they're all jobs, right? Because potentially you could put any kind of object as a pre-install hook. It's completely unlimited.
Yeah, I think one common thing is then have a service account for your job, but usually you will have like a job plus optionally something else that the job needs. Maybe a secret for the job, or
Oh yeah, a config map or
service
yeah.
account, whatever the job might need as additional resource.
I can certainly see, though, just as another point of feedback, I can certainly see why users would want to wait for a pre-install hook. You know, for example, you're waiting on another dependency. You know, it may take some time because, you know, it's there's eventual consistency.
Which is why you use jobs. Which is why you use jobs with retries.
Yeah.
You just want to make sure your retry ends before it times out.
Good point. Thanks, Ian. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Yes, French Ben.
Hey everyone. The two PRs I wanted to discuss, and hello. The two PRs I wanted to discuss are both package related. One is getting package consistency within Helm. So if you run like back-to-back the packaging command, you get a consistent package that will have the same SHA, which today doesn't happen only because we don't just sort the files really that we package. So that's the 10.170 something 4, I think is that one. Yeah, 178, sorry. And then the 10.184 is also package related, and it's allowing you to sign actually a package that you can just download instead of having to kind of like untar it and then basically repackage it. So just allowing someone to just get the package, you know, from like the Helm repo and then sign it without having to unpack it to then really just pack it and sign it.
I really like this one. We had to fix it the hard way in another job.
Oh, this is really cool.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm getting I'm moderating this, but I'm getting lost in reading.
No, it's all good. Like I like when technically I like when I don't have any questions, and I like it when people are kind of reading and they're like, all right, actually, this is probably something that we need. So hopefully that's the next step.
So, out of curiosity, would this remove the part of the need for the magic numbers that are added in Helm packaging? You know what I'm talking
The
about?
magic? No, I don't. But it may be related, right? I think before we had an inconsistent packaging method, which means that you couldn't just rely on the SHA-SUM for the package itself, which is probably why these like magic numbers came about. Versus now it will be consistent SHA-SUM. So if you get the package and you have a SHA that matches, you know you have the right package.
So with consistent, you mean like reproducible, right? Like
Yeah,
if-
reproducible. If you do it back to back, where you create a package, you delete the package, you recreate it right after it without making a zero change,
No.
that package will have a different SHA-SUM.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's a huge problem now, or it's something that's really been discussed for kind of a long time. Cost problems.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely a long thread on like the issue side of things where folks have been asking for it. So hopefully that solves it.
I don't know about, I'm not too deep into the code of this packaging mechanism. I'm not sure if that would also be true then for OCI packaged Helm charts, or if they use because it's TARS files in the end as well, right? Or
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Phil, would you mind making a comment on that PR?
Yeah, I can.
To that effect. I noticed that we're at 1 minute after the hour, so I've failed my job for 1 minute now. And thanks, Frenchman, for that. And I know there's one other item that we're not going to be able to get to on the agenda by Joe, but I am opening it now and I'm going to take a look. It's also nice to see you, Joe. It's been a while. All right, well, thanks everyone, and we'll see you on Slack, and we'll see you next time. Bye.